Alright, what is going on, everybody? Today we're going to be covering the changes to the Hourglass rework, the meta shift from the SMGs and LMGs, finally getting some spread changes to their damage models, also with some hidden nerf damage changes to the LMGs, along with the SMG, not necessarily a whole lot of changes to them, but they did get some spread to them, so getting all of those portal weapons, all-out warfare attachments, and bringing up the SMG tier list, in my opinion, just and showing what SMGs now are kind of up in the tree of being viable and good to use compared to previously, right before this patch came out. So also with the portal attachments, the pistols didn't really get anything, so that's a little disappointing. But before we get into the weapon here, kind of want to show the bugged here recoil with the K30. So as you can see, it's hard pulled to the left, so I'll let that play. And they're aware of this bug, so until it gets fixed, just don't use the K30. So when I tested the AKS and the P2K damage models, they're still the same. They both are a 4 bullet to kill. The AKS is only down out to 30 now instead of 40 because they got rid of the heavy barrel. And you can see here that past 30 meters, it's 5, and it's still very accurate to laser beam. It's still good. I think that this weapon is definitely up there on the meta tree now. And then when we switch to the P2K here, as you guys can see, the damage range out to 40 meters for the 4 bullet to kill, and also has a fairly good kind of quote-unquote laser-like effect for the spread. I really don't think the portal weapons got hit too hard with the spread changes because they were buffed to keep in line with the all-out warfare weapons. However, I still see bullet velocity issues in-game, so that's still an issue for me. Now, looking at all the LMGs, right? So the XM8 here, the LCMG, and the RPT. The XM8 actually got a silent buff to its base damage from 22 to 24, so it's 24-48, not 22-44 now. And then the LCMG is still a 4 bullet to kill. And while this is going through, the only LMGs now that are 4 bullet to kill base damage is the LCMG, the RPT with heavy rounds, and the M60. Every other LMG at base damage now is a 5 bullet to kill. So that means later on, here when you see the M240, that is no longer a 4 bullet to kill. The M240 got a nerf down to 24-48 as well. So again, kind of looking at the RPT. The RPT with the standard rounds is a 5 bullet to kill, but if you still switch to the high power rounds, within 30 meters, it's a 4 bullet to kill. And that's really all I need to say about that. Later on in the video, I'll show you guys the difference between having a bipod on and not having a bipod on when you do continuous fire. But as you can see here, like I said prior, with the M240, it now does 24-48, right? So M240 was really strong and hit just as hard as the M60, but now no longer does the M60 damage. It's still a fairly good weapon after they fixed the pretty hard to the left recoil it had when it first came into the game, but it now does slightly less damage than the M60, which I think is fair. You're still increasing time to kill, which is a good thing, and trying to sway people away from LMGs, but I can tell you, I'm still seeing a lot of LMGs playing this game right now. So, moving into the M60, as you can see here, this used to be a 4 bullet to kill out to 75 meters. That was almost cut nearly in half. It went from 75 to 40. So this is going to be pretty quick, but as you can see, if you tap fire, they're still fairly accurate, just like with every other weapon, but this no longer is a 4 shot out to 75, which I think is probably a good thing overall. And then, like I said before, with the LCMG, with the bipod on, okay, any LMG, I didn't test this with all the LMGs, but I'm assuming that the bipod mechanic is the same for all of them. If you're running the LMG with a bipod, it negates the spread completely. As you can see, this can still hold continuous fire, pretty much consistently hitting every shot, right? So that's, if this is how you want to play, this is still a viable option and is a very much like so a laser beam. Now, as you can see without the bipod on, and this is me kind of tap firing, crouch firing to kind of get the 10% bloom reduction, but if I just do continuous fire, and you can kind of see this from the further out targets, it's not a quick laser anymore. You see that there's some spread there. It takes a little bit longer to kill the guy further out. which is good. Now, for the most part, this is still fairly accurate, but it's not quote-unquote instantaneous lasering people, which is a step in the right direction. This gives ARs a fair chance to play. Now, moving on to the Hourglass rework. Okay, I'm not really too thrilled, if I'm being honest. Now, I will say that I was more impressed than I thought I was going to be with the rework, and I will tell you after finally being able to play Conquest yesterday, I'm not a fan of Conquest compared to Breakthrough. Breakthrough seems to have things a little bit more synergized with the cover and being here, and having all those little avenues to kind of reset yourself with some cover. It's not great cover, but at least it's there. So when I was playing Conquest yesterday, I'm gonna be honest, I barely played infantry, because from the 3 flags from the city to the 3 flags out into the open desert with the buildings to the center flag being the bridge, in between those 3 objectives is just basically the same open BFE effect. There's no cover, it's just open desert. Doesn't play well for infantry. And I will tell you too, when I was flying in the Nightbird, the spawn system is kind of wonky, where the entire team can spawn on both sides of their own map on 2 different spawn points. So one can spawn out in the desert towards the one cluster of flags, and you can spawn into the city with the other cluster of flags, and you can spawn trap them if they decide to spawn in the city. And I did this for a solid like 5 minutes or so, just spawn trapping guys in the Nightbird. So that's a problem. But outside of that, I think Breakthrough is the better option, but I'm a little biased because I mostly play Breakthrough anyways. Now, coming down to the weapon meta, right? So I will tell you right now that the P2K and the AKS both got a significant buff once they got these all-out warfare attachments. The P90 still feels the same, even with the attachments. So you get better optics, which is cool. But outside of that, it feels the exact same. I didn't really enjoy using it. So I've been mostly using the P2K and the AKS. Mostly the AKS. I prefer the AKS over the P2K. And I'm going to tell you right now, the Bison, the PP29, has very little to no change to how its weapon mechanic works. So it is still now probably the best gun in the game over the LCMG now, because the LCMG doesn't laser as hard anymore. So if you're looking for weapons to use, ARs are now in line with the rest of the weapons. LMGs got nerfed pretty hard to their spread. If you don't want spread, run a bipod. SMGs are about the same. I ran most of them. They all feel about the same. K30's bugged. Just don't use it until they fix it. Unless you want to look at it and kind of laugh at its numbers. I'm pretty sure it just got bugged where the vertical recoil numbers got switched to the horizontal numbers for some reason. I don't know if that was a coding issue or if it wasn't looked at, or if someone fat fingered something, but I'm assuming it's the coding with the patch, right? Usually a patch breaks something once it comes out. In any case, guys, that's all I have for this video. Let me know if you got any questions in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Until the next video, guys, see ya!
What?